Good evening. First tonight, 50 years on from the Basel air crash which killed more than 100 people, a permanent memorial has been set up in Kongsbury to remember the 20 villagers killed that day.
Well, the plane took off from Bristol Airport on the 10th of April 1973 and was heading for an airport in Basel. It was mostly full of mothers from across North Somerset and Bristol on an organised trip to Switzerland.
But a snowstorm led to it hitting trees and crashing. Only 37 people survived, changing communities across the region forever. 3 of those who lost loved ones in the crash have been speaking to Max Walsh.
50 years on from the disaster, families still mourn their loved ones and reflect on the lives cut short.
You live with it, you don't live without it. You know, it's there all the time.
It was on the 10th of April 1973 when a flight from Bristol crashed in a snowstorm after missing the runway in Basel. It carried mostly women who were on organised day trips from Somerset. 108 people were killed.
The chairs had packed forward like a pack of cards. They were all upside down, hanging from their seatbelts.
The hill on the snow was deep snow, you see, and reading her, all our hair was wet, all our clothes was wet through the snow, and we were frozen.
In the village of Kongsbury, news slowly started to filter home.
Mum said to come and tell you that the plane's crashed. And I was, what? The plane's crashed, but don't worry, everybody's all right.
I didn't sleep, looked at photographs, and then the next morning I turned on the radio for the first news report of the day, and they actually gave out a survivors list, and there was our family name on it.
It was a shock just to find that it had gone into the mountain, but of course then when you knew where they were sat, you know, it was all real.
I can remember Linda telling me that they went over and said, well, we had 2 family names on the list of survivors and it was a mistake. It's just like a nightmare, really, a bit unbelievable.
Horrendous. You don't think it's happening to you.
And it was just everybody that were in the party from Kongsbury or had their tickets sold that didn't come back.
See you later, she said, yeah, see you later, and well, later never came.
In the confusion that followed, information was unclear and sometimes inaccurate. But of the 20 people from Kongsbury who boarded that plane, no one survived.
Did you yourself know many of the people who've been killed?
All of them, I would say, yes. All of them.
Who did you have on board the plane?
My wife and 2 daughters.
And what news is there so far?
Well, really nothing. I mean, they're not on the survivors list.
Among those killed were Jackie's 9-year-old sister Hazel and Sue's parents Ray and Beryl. Relatives flew out to identify the dead through their possessions. Their bodies were brought back home to Kongsbury, where funerals were held, one after the other.
The day of our funeral, it was almost surreal. You can imagine seeing 5 hearses lined outside our house.
Well, we just got through every day. You know, we just sort of said, where are we going today? It was because obviously funerals were everywhere. Western Bristol.
Where we're sitting now were 5 coffins lined up, and all I can remember of the service was just looking at them, you know, thinking it's not quite real.
I remember looking at our grandmother who was sat with us, and I don't think she could comprehend that, you know, so many of the family had gone.
Life in Kongsbury, Axbridge and Rington would never be the same, as dozens of families adjusted to life without mothers, fathers, sisters and brothers.
One of the hardest parts is when you, especially when we had the children, it was grandparents, and it's sometimes you think, well, like I couldn't ask that question now, I can't do that. It's the whole family were wiped. Because
I think the village spirit was broken at the time. You know, because it affected so many people, so many families in the village, you know, nearly everybody you spoke to had lost somebody.
As of today, a permanent memorial garden now stands outside St Andrew's Church with the names of those killed, so future generations will never forget.
This is actually Kongsbury's history, and now people can actually see that
50 years is a long time, and I think it's important to us personally, but it's also very nice, you know, to have this permanent memorial out here now for the history of the village.
So I think it's more about our own families, our grandchildren and people like that now.
Village spirit that's come back, you know, has amazed us really.
It seems a long time ago, but it's not a long time ago because it's still all here.
For Sue, Jackie and Rosemary, the pain will never go away. But now the stories of their relatives will live on in the village they called home.
So sad, isn't it? Max joins us from St Andrew's Church in Congsbury, where that memorial garden has been completed today. Max.
Yes, that's right, Kylie. These benches were put in place this morning, marking the completion of a garden that has been 50 years in the making. It was fundraised by local residents still living here in Congsbury, affected by what happened 50 years ago. There is now a permanent plaque with all 20 names on from this village, including 5 members from the Gill family, Rosemary and Jackie's relatives, as well as Raymond and Beryl Batt, Sue's parents. There will be a memorial service here on Monday, on the day of the anniversary, as well as a service in Basel to commemorate the 108 people who lost their lives that day, that forever changed these communities in Somerset.
Max Walsh, thank you very much.